Athletes and fans around the world, welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. I'm Tim Wilkins, and this is a very special episode. As always, you'll see the normal guys. Tarek Elgindi, IFBB judge.
What do you mean the normal guys?
Us normal three guys.
Okay.
The regular guys. I don't
mean you people.
I mean,
we're in our 40s and 50s. I can't say we're regular.
Just because the guy is here, now we're nothing?
Nah, yeah.
Push to the side as always.
That's how we doing it now?
Chris Cormier, the real deal, who's probably ecstatic to be here because he's wearing clothes that cost more than each of our cars. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Straight out of China.
Oh, really?
Straight out of China.
Hey, it's a billion of them. Be quiet.
And the guy to my right, to your left at home, as someone who in the gym, someone will ask what I do. Oh, you're in bodybuilding and host shows, and every kid between about 15 and 50, and I'm saying kid because that's Tarek. Everybody of any age that's bodybuilt says, do you know Chris Bumstead? Yes, because you are a legend in this sport now. You've created this personage, this persona as a champion, 5-time champion, that is the household name of household names. You're aware of this?
Yeah, I'm working on the legend status, but household name of people who care about fitness. You know, it's still our own little world, but I'm grateful to be a part of it and been having a lot of fun with it.
It goes so bad as the last time I was in Whole Foods in Orlando after last year's Olympia. Lady sees what I'm buying, sees my cart, sees me, says, oh, do you lift weights? Yeah, I'm competing this year. Do you know who was in here a couple days ago? Chris Bumstead was buying. She didn't lift a single weight in her life. She was ecstatic that you were in there buying fish.
Well, there you go. I probably remember that lady. I remember a lady asking me for a picture after I bought like 10 pounds of cod back there.
10 pounds of cod. That was the lady.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tim, I'm going to agree and disagree with Chris because it's our little world, but you're right. Some people that have no connection with the fitness industry, they come up and they go, do you know Cbum? People that never worked out, never have an intention of lifting weights, and they just like to follow the guy on Instagram and YouTube. And he didn't create a persona. What was fascinating about him is he's authentic on his videos and his Instagram, and that captivated millions and millions of people because we live in a society that everybody's projecting. And here comes a guy saying, hey, I lift weights, I like bodybuilding, and I'm just going to let you know who I am. And that authenticity made Chris Bumstead become the Arnold Schwarzenegger of our time. In about 30 years, people are going to be referencing, do you remember Cbum? How was Cbum? I think he's that popular, and I give him a lot of credit. He never tried to be anybody else.
Yeah, I think when you got teenagers, 12, 13, 14, that's 15, that's pivotal times for any person. And that, I mean, says a lot about Chris is to be affecting that type of wide range of age groups, all range of ethnicities, doesn't matter. Everyone's like, man, do you know Cbum? Or, yeah, I met him before. Yeah, you know, this and that. But it's great what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing, brother, because it's working.
You guys are making me blush. I appreciate it.
So, whether you created it or it was organic, it's a thing now. It's a very exciting thing. But you have, I try to tell young people in the sport, there aren't the big contracts with the magazines anymore. And sponsorships probably aren't what they used to be. You've been so smart about creating your future. We'll talk about your legacy in the sport a little bit, but now you've got the family on the way, you've got the baby, you've got the gym. What all have you had in the works while you've maintained the physique of a champion?
In business-wise?
In business-wise, yeah. Life, business?
For a while, I was obviously following the route of everybody, getting a sponsorship, doing all that, and then it wasn't until someone offered me to create my own line, and I put my name on a product, and we built the whole line about that, a bunch of marketing, and I had a lot of say in all that. And that company, it was like their best-selling product. It blew up. They made a bunch of money. And I realized I was making good money off that, but they were still making way more than me because they owned the company. And I was like, all right, I want to own the company if I'm going to be doing this, if I have that much of an impact. And obviously, the life of a bodybuilder is pretty short. You know, your career only lasts so long. And most people wait till they retire because it's really hard to do while you're in it. And then they try and start a business, and sometimes a bit too late because you're not as relevant. And I didn't want to wait that long. So instead of feeling like I had to run the whole business myself, I found really good partners I trusted. We partnered, equal partnership into starting our own supplement company, and we've been working on that. And now we launched an energy drink company, and we have a lot of cool stuff coming. So, you know, it's been great. I have amazing partners and people who help me in the background, or else I wouldn't be able to do it, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, so tell us about the team you've created. And that's what's important, is to have a good team around you And how did that work? How did you create that?
I mean, my parents just always taught me to be myself and value genuine relationships, and that's something that's always been important to me. And before I understood business, that was just who I was. So my first ever business partner was my first athlete manager, and we met when I was like 19, and now he's still my business partner today, and we're still doing it. My first ever videographer, Calvin's been with me for like 5-6 years, and there was no one else going to be like that. I didn't film for a while, and because he wasn't around, I just didn't film. And I waited till we were moved together, and I just stuck with him. We just built that trusting relationship, and it kind of created some kind of trust and respect that you can only get through time and working at it. And then I have a few other business partners that I've gone with now who are in Florida with Supplement and everything, and we all just have different strengths that allow us to do what we're best at and understand that the person who's got our back is going to do what they need to do, and it all just kind of flows synergistically.
So speaking of your energy line, I got to ask this, and I see Tarek's chomping at the bit. Some clown a few months ago on the internet said, Cbum's followers are all bots, none of them are real. If he was really that popular, he'd have an energy line. And then I see a post right after that, like this one that's currently sold out. Talk to me about his energy drink line. Do you remember who that was?
I do, yeah, but I don't need to bring it up.
You can let it go.
You know?
But it was a very funny.
More upset than I was about that one.
It was a funny exchange.
It was pretty funny, yeah.
His name is Dave Palumbo, okay? Dave Palumbo didn't know Chris Bumstead had a drink, and I had the drink in Romania, man, and the drink was awesome. It was better than Monster, better than Red Bull. And then I looked at it, and it was the Cbum drink, the Bum energy drink. So I'm like, gee, that guy's going to send me a box as soon as I come back to America. You know, going back to what Tim Wilkins, Chris, and Cbum said about his supporting group. He has the strongest supporting group in bodybuilding. His video maker, Calvin, once Chris won his 4th title, they gave a hug, and it was very emotional because it's more than just filming Chris. It's about supporting him in all moments. Courtney King was a phenomenal athlete. 2013, she turned pro at the USA, green bikini. She
He remembers underpants.
she won the Olympia, and she is, before she met Chris, she's one of the sweetest human beings you can ever meet. Courtney King is one of the sweetest people. He's got Dominic, he's got Matt, he's got Matt Jensen. He has a supporting group that makes him be better. Now, credit to Chris Bumstead. He wouldn't be the rock star that he is if he didn't deliver on stage. In the end of the day, none of them are going to lift the weights. None of them are going to do the cardio. He has to do it. And he delivered every single year. This past year was not the best Chris Bumstead. 2022, I think he smashed the stage. 2023, he could have been just a little bit better, but he still won. That's like Michael Jordan shooting 30%, missing a few layups, having 2 turnovers, and still being the best player. And I thought 2023 was the most impactful victory of Chris Bumstead because he showed Ramon, Urs, Wesley Vissers, I might not be at my best, but I can still win this thing. It was very impressive.
So 22 and 23 were hard preps for you. You talked about that. You had injuries, you had you had life going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, 22 was one of my better preps. That's why it was my best look that I've had. I ended up tearing my bicep like 3 days out from that show. So mentally, that was difficult for me to stay present and be confident on stage when I was worrying about that. And obviously, I still look at those pictures and I stare at my bicep and I see a little thing off and that bothers me. So it wasn't like quite it. And in 2023, I tore my lat at the beginning of that prep, found out Courtney was pregnant and just a lot of things going on. I was like, do I really care about bodybuilding? I'm having a baby. Like my lat's torn. Do I really need to go through with this right now? And it kind of took me out of like performance mode for a while of getting shit done, but I was able to pull it back together. But because of that gap where I was injured and I had to take a few weeks off training, I was a little bit behind in my prep. So I had to put on some size again and then come back down to diet, which led to me not being quite as lean on stage, which is Tarek was talking about, why it wasn't really my best look. But I still had improved within that off season, so I think parts of my body were better, but I wasn't as lean. And you know, the guys that I go up against like Urs and Ramon have pushed me every single year to be better, and I know they're nipping at my heels, so I still have to kill myself every year to make sure I claim that victory.
And didn't you have another injury? Was it in a leg or a hamstring? Or
I tore my hamstring in 2019.
Man.
Yeah.
So what's the mental process that you would take? I mean, trying to get back in the gym. I know it's a mental process. You got to overcome because you're thinking about that injury, you're trying to push yourself, but you still have an injury to try to overcome. Like, tell us, how does that happen for you? Like, walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a battle. The lat tear was the worst because it was everything. I couldn't do anything upper body, because anything, you don't realize how much your lats support your entire upper body. So I couldn't really train at all. I could do like a little bit of triceps like this and a little biceps on machine, but that's all I did for about 2 weeks. So mentally it was tough, but you know, it's one of those things where you can't do anything about it, so you kind of just got to accept it as it is. And it was where I had embraced this year, where we all go through shit times. I know, I can guarantee you everyone at the Olympia has gone through some shit getting into their prep probably every year, and I'm not alone in that, and I understand that. So instead of me just trying to like suppress that pain, pretend it wasn't there, I just embraced it, took it for what it was, allowed myself to feel stressed and anxious and scared. I was able to lean on my team, like Courtney, she was there for me through all that. And it's one of those things you just got to keep showing up every day. Even
That's what I was going to ask, what that mental trigger was for you, that switch that flipped. You said, okay, I can do this. You embraced the pain, you embraced where you were, and just went forward from there?
Yeah, I mean, I had a hell of a lot of doubt and fear. You know, I'm not one of those guys like, you have no doubt, blah, blah. I was doubting myself almost every day, going into the gym and doing my cardio and waking up feeling stressed for a long time. And it was just, you keep showing up, you keep doing it, and then you just hope it all falls together. You know, the rest is kind of in the hands of the universe. And one day, I think it was about 6 weeks out or so, I remember going in and tried to test out a little bit of back, and I was able to do it a little bit. And I just remember being like, within that moment, I'd gone through so much shit and I was feeling better. I was like, all right, if I got through this much, I can get through another 6 weeks and I can do this. And it just kind of filled me up with pride and encouragement, and just going through a little bit of shit got me into a better place.
So how did the posing rounds go when you're feeling all this pain in your back? And I mean, I got to imagine the posing was hard.
Posing, it wasn't horrible. You can tell in a little bit of my shots, especially my front lat spread. I'm not quite as wide.
It's like the practicing.
Oh, I didn't practice.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I practiced my posing maybe a week out that year, and I was like, all right, you kind of got this.
That's what I'm saying.
But I didn't really practice that year.
And man, it's incredible because, you know, Chris has been competing. He turned pro at the North Americans, and you know that was a fresh physique, no injuries. You know, tiny little waist. Obviously, the size was not there. The conditioning was not there. But you got to take in consideration that Chris has been beating down this body for the last, you know, 7, 8, 9 years. You know, he was chasing Breon initially. And obviously, just like a great football player, like, you know, a great basketball player, it starts taking a toll on your body, right? But he has won. That's the most impressive thing. Despite all the injuries, Chris Bumstead continues to win. And another thing that's cool about, he has experienced fear, insecurities, and he has shared that with his audience, which has made him even more relatable and more likable to the mainstream community.
That's what they like. They like to relate to the person. But I'll tell you one thing, like, there's guys dropping out of shows because, oh, I got a lot on my plate right now. I had a headache or whatever, looking for a reason to duck out, but to challenge the best in the world and to still go forward through that pain and stuff, it says a lot about, you know, the person.
There's a lot of guys saying right now, I don't want to do that show because I can't get a visa. You're telling me you can't get into this country? Have you seen the news? Anybody can get in this country. Get to the show.
That's another topic.
I was talking about Rubio Musket. Where was Rubio, man?
I didn't say that. Next.
We're very politically incorrect today, Chris. Okay, we've lost all our followers. We have no subscribers.
We're getting them back
all
by
our
having Chris.
sponsors have dropped us. We don't care, America.
All right, 0 viewers up there.
Well, that's the viewers going down.
We covered some of the past, and when we come back with Chris, we're going to talk about the future of him and the sport, and talk a little bit about the Arnold Classic and the classic physique that he saw there, and all that and more when we come back. Primetime Muscle is back with the one and only Chris Bumstead. And Chris, the biggest question that we've had since probably the first episode of this year is You've got 5, but you got a lot on your plate with life and business and the baby. 6, 7, 8. What are we looking at? 6? You'll be back, right?
I'll be back for sure. Yeah, it's a great question, and
Will you skip a year?
I've said it every single year. I'm like, I take it 1 year at a time. And after I win the Olympia, I take some time off. I let myself kind of like come back down to earth, figure out what I want, if it's still for me, if I still have that drive and that passion. Because there's no point in me putting myself through this if I don't have the passion for more. And right now, I definitely still feel that I do. I've kind of discovered through all the shit I've gone through, the injuries, the stuff I've shared and everything, I've almost mastered the art of competing, where I can now compete at a high level and also have fun. You'll see me backstage chatting with the guys, smiling, having fun. I'm able to be present, remember all the moments on stage and really have fun with it. And that's taken me a long time, being a kind of anxious in my head person to be there. So I don't want to leave that behind me just yet. I've spoken to Courtney deeply about this, especially having a family now, and she's fully supportive. She's like, if this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. Yeah, we're going to have a child now, but a mom is a little more important role at the beginning of a child's life.
Yeah.
And she knows that we have the resources and her mom's going to help in everything we can do. And she fully supports me and wants me to do what I do, because it doesn't last forever. And every year it's an opportunity that I get to do it again. So I'm just grateful I got one more in me. And if I get another after that, I'll be up there with numbers like Arnold and Phil Heath and that winning 7. So it'll be cool, but just taking it 1 year at a time.
We were talking about the result in the Arnold, and Tim Wilkins asked me, now that Wesley Vissers has won this show, is he a threat to Chris Bumstead? And, obviously we're speculating here. We're looking at physiques. If Chris shows up like he showed up in 2022, it's very, very hard for somebody to beat that physique, because the clavicle bones are quite large on top. The waist is very small. His conditioning was impeccable, and he's got the flaring quads. His only weakness was in the beginning of his career was his back, which now is a strength. It's where he beat Ramon in 2022 convincingly, and he's got the width. So it's challenging. We're dealing with the likes of Phil Heath, Ronnie Coleman, Lee Haney, that guy that can come a little bit off and still win the show. The only challenge for Chris Bumstead is injuries, which is the demise of most great bodybuilders. Ronnie Coleman went down because of injury. Dorian Yates, Phil Heath, all these great legends. If Chris can sustain his body without injury, the future is very promising, but he's got to be very careful because he's hit hard. I've seen Chris work out. He likes working out heavy. It's what he likes to do, correct?
Yeah.
One of our favorite things to do here is to talk about people like they're not here when we've got a guest.
I can tell you.
So Chris, talk to us about.
What an asshole. We need to edit that. Can we edit that shit? What a jerk off. Hey, Nico, are you going to edit that?
No, he's not.
It's me, Golden Boy. So Chris, as you look to this year and the next year, but you look at the classic physique from the Arnold this year, you get to be a spectator and look back as a judge or as a fan and go, all right, well, this guy's got some parts I'm going to need to build mine up for, or this. What did you see in the top 4 guys from Wesley to Visser, or from Wesley to Breon?
Obviously Wesley was a bit of a surprise for everybody. I was there in the morning watching prejudging, and I was like, holy shit, he's going to win. I thought he was going to win, and I would have never guessed that going into it. But it's a thing of classic physique. Because of the weight limit we have, people can come in and just shock you all of a sudden, and you never really know. That's why every year is an opportunity for people to jump placings, take my title, anything can really happen. So I think Wesley coming in threw a huge wrench. I don't think it's going to be a top 2 call out like last year with me and Ramon. It could be 4 of us, it could be whatever. It just changes everything. It throws it all up in the air. So it's going to make it more exciting this year for sure. And yeah, I'm excited to get after it. And they, like I said, they all drive me to be better. So it's just a little more push for me to keep pushing myself.
Did you feel what did you feel walking away from that? Like, I got my work cut out for me? Are you saying okay, if Wesley hits that damn lat spread, I'm going to demolish him? Are you? Because were you coming away from having any type of thoughts like that, or were you?
No, yeah, I was side stage and I was looking at it and I was like, I can beat these guys. And then I walked around stage and I looked up front and I was like, and I could tell everyone's improving and they're all getting better. And I don't think everybody was at their best at this show. I think Wesley was beyond his best, 120%, and the other guys were more like 80. I don't think people nailed this one perfectly. And the Arnold's a really hard show to do, given the timing around the Olympia. You get a month or two off and you got to get right back into it.
A lot of times people look better at the one and then not so good at the Olympia. And
exactly.
The Olympia is where you want to peak.
For sure.
But it's hard to do both.
It goes back to what can you do when you're not at your best. You know, Ronnie Coleman, 2001, he wasn't at his best, he still won. Chris Bumstead, 2023, wasn't at his best, still won. Is what can you do? Now, looking at some of the top guys, I have huge expectation from Urs Kalaczynski. I think he's one of the best, but he needs to deliver a powerful performance because just a few years ago, he was ahead of Ramon. He was ahead of all these guys. He was the next one coming. Urs Kalaczynski is a beautiful physique, and he needs to deliver. Ramon was not at his best, and he needs to come back and say, no, I'm the guy putting the heat on Chris Bumstead. And now Wesley Vissers positions himself as almost the second guy. But it's going to be challenging because now you're dealing with the genetics of Chris Bumstead. And Chris can expose Wesley Vissers quite easily on the genetic department. So it's going to be challenging for all of them.
Does this kind of stuff go through your head? Or lift heavy, eat right, and go to the stage? I mean,
lift heavy, eat right, go to the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly why last year, wasn't my best, and I know exactly how to be my best. And all I'm thinking about is being able to get on stage and like have my best opportunity to be on stage without a torn bicep, without a torn lat, and look how I want to look. And that's all I ever focus on.
So looking down the road, however long you have left actively competing in the sport, you're now a fixture, so you look at the guys that now have the supplement lines and the various things. What do you have positioned, or what do you have in your mind as far as your legacy to the sport to stay involved as this part of your business? Are there things in the works, or do you have big goals and big dreams that you haven't released to the public?
Or is it just family?
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest priority has always been growing a family. That's the thing I'm most excited about. But, I mean, obviously, I'm more ambitious than just that. That'll be my number one priority. I have the businesses, obviously, everything like Raw and the energy and all that stuff, which we're still focusing on. I have thought about starting my own show eventually and wanting to do it like a little differently than just an average show and kind of doing something a little more exciting with it. So there's some things in the air. It's definitely, obviously, very grateful for the community of bodybuilding and everything. And I think now that there's such a huge community that doesn't want to compete but loves bodybuilding, and then the ones that do compete, being able to integrate that, I think I'm a good bridge of that. So anyway, I can figure that in the future, but you know, right now I got my hands full. There's a lot going on with business, new baby, and Olympia, so I'm kind of focusing on that, trying not to take on too much and make sure I still have everything under wraps that's currently going on.
I have a suggestion, okay? Put the camera on me, I have a suggestion. This is gonna be the Cbum Challenge, okay? The Cbum Challenge starts in 2025, and Chris Bumstead will be the only judge to decide if you're sponsored by Bum Energy. Whoever has the best transformation in America will be the new representative of Bum Energy. And guess what, Chris? Chris Cormier and I are going to join that challenge.
You guys are going to join?
I'm going to join that challenge. I'm going to send my before pictures, and Chris and I are going to get in a diet. We're going to go from sumo to men's physique competitors, and we're going to compete to become the Bum Energy competitors. What do you think about my suggestion?
I love it. I think it should just be you two, though, not all of America. We'll have the Olympia, and then right after the Olympia, we'll have a special presentation of you two going against each other one-on-one.
Chris, look at Cormier. Come on. You want to make it exciting, have more people. I don't want to destroy this guy.
The thing I have over you was on stage before.
Yeah, you were looking like Bill Cosby. You're the Buffalo Bills of bodybuilding.
Whatever.
You're the Buffalo Bills of bodybuilding.
I passed the eye test like a son of a
Anyways, this is my suggestion, Chris. If you want to take my suggestion, I think everybody would join the Bum Energy Challenge. It's the transformation. I'll join, Chris Cormier join, and the entire nation will join.
So there was a question a couple years ago. See, I'm the ringleader.
Yeah. Ring it back.
Ring it back. There was a question we've all asked each other this, and everybody was asking. A couple years ago, you were on that thing where everybody's saying, is Chris going to move up to open? Mm-hmm. Is Chris going to... Because you look at like Derek Lunsford, you look at your top prize at the Olympia for you and think, man, if I take third or fourth at the Olympia and the Open, I'm making an extra 50 grand. And all you'd have to do is put on another 30 or 40 pounds. I mean, how hard can it be? Casually. What did you ever seriously sit down and say, you know, these guys are right. I've got perfect genetics and just have to put on a little size and I'm a big name.
I'll tell you what I think before you answer.
No,
I just don't think it'd be worth it because I don't think money is he's not driven by a few $1,000s or whatever. And he's got everything going already in the right direction anyway. I don't think it'd be necessary at all to push your body to try to get up to a certain, just to see. I don't think it'd be worth it. Go ahead. What do you think?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's fine, Chris. Just take over.
Another
we don't need
interception.
any more freaking guests.
Another interception for the
Okay.
kid. Another interception for the kid.
But yeah, no, obviously I've entertained it, and I mess with people sometimes. I told Brian Powers, if he moves the Arnold to December, I'll compete in the Open at the Arnold. I told him that. And I'm presenting to the Olympia. I think you guys should have at the end of the show, you should put 212, Classic Physique, and Open against each other, just for fun at the end of the day. Just to see it. But, you know, if the show ever lined up and I felt like it, I would. But right now, I genuinely just love Classic Physique. I would never put on 30 pounds to compete in the Open. I might just eat a few more hamburgers the night before the show and get on. But we'll see. I don't think it'll happen, but if it does, it'll be fun.
Well, that's an interesting suggestion that you want. Let's have that publicly announced. Chris Bumstead wants a final call out with the winner of the Open and the winner of the 212 at this year's Mr. Olympia.
And Classic.
If that happens, and Classic, if that happens, you will jump on stage and challenge whoever won the Open and the 212. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Done.
We got that on camera! We got that on camera!
Another 15 grand for the winner of that.
Oh,
make
man.
that
25.
This is going to be exciting. Chris Bumstead sends clear message to Derek Lunsford, Hadi Chupin. I'm going to annihilate you on stage. Prepare the thumbnail. Yeah, and what did Derek say? What did Derek say?
He got a little nervous.
So Chris, we got to wrap, but man, you can just come back and hang out with us anytime. I got a request because, you know, as someone who tries to mentor and inspire people, especially I have a bunch of high schoolers that I help, they all look to you. Is there anything with these young kids coming up that you would say, you know, I'm not going to fill your words like Chris, but is it?
It's an interception.
Take your time. You know, what are the big tips that you would give to these young guys that are looking to you and not seeing the journey? They're only seeing the end result.
That's a tough question to put on me. I mean, in theme of the lesson that I learned in this previous Olympia, I would say the biggest tip I give to people is not suppressing and fearing the downtimes. You know, life is always going to be full of ups and downs, and when you're going through downtime, don't just like shut down, suppress, numb, and do all these things. Understand that that's normal. You'll get out of it. Embrace that moment. Understand why you're in that moment, the feelings you're having, the sadness and all that, rather than just nothing, and then believing that the good times will come and working to get out of it, rather than just like being anxious about it, suppressing everything, numbing it. Like I said in my speech at the Olympia this year, if you numb the bad, you numb the good. The more emotions you suppress, rather than let them come out and feel, the less you feel all around in your life. So I think a lot of people go through hard times and they think the world is over, but I mean, it always ends. It will always end as long as you keep your head up, you keep moving forward. That's all that really matters. So just embrace those shitty times. Understand that everybody has them. I talk about them, but everyone's going through them. I just talk about them a little bit more so people understand they're not the only ones going through them, and then the good times will come afterwards.
Man, beautifully said. Chris Bumstead is the Arnold Schwarzenegger of our generation. In 30, 40 years, our children will be asking, did you ever meet Chris Bumstead? How was he? And we are I think bodybuilding has grown because the number one guy, Chris Bumstead, has been such a great guy. Congratulations, Chris. You're not only a great athlete, you're a great role model, and I know you're going to be an amazing father.
Thank you.
I'll be at the Villages lifting the 10s in 30 years.
The Villages.
And they'll say, you ever meet Chris Bumstead? Oh, we were like this.
Oh, yeah. Be careful at the Villages. It gets wild there.
Yeah.
Do we know it's a boy or a girl?
It's a little girl. Yeah.
Oh.
Baby girl.
Daddy's girl.
All right. What a pleasure it is to have Chris with us. Real deal, Chris Cormier.
The real deal in the house.
The house. Tarek.
Great to be here, guys. Subscribe, comment. What do you think? Cbum going for 6. What do you think about this challenge? Going against possibly Derek, Hadi, or Samson Dowd, or whoever wins. What do you think? Leave a comment.
Keon or Clarita. You never know who's going to be the 212 champ this year. Chris, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Well, thanks for having me.
Tim Wilkins for Primetime Muscle. We'll see you on the next episode.
I just want to win the Cbum challenge.